The segue of Wuthering Waves patch 3.3 is all about Denia and her last day on Earth. She is forced into a no-win situation, as her frequency instability is leading to her inevitable death, and she has to choose between going to the New Federation or remaining at the Space Trek Collective. Either way, her fate is sealed, and she's forced to become a science experiment. But what if she did have a choice? This is what this segue is all about. But before we get any further, greetings, I'm Sarah. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you'll consider subscribing. And if you're not new, welcome back. Let's discuss the patch 3.3 segue. This story update was pretty good, but the early parts of the story were honestly boring. And there's aspects of 3.3 that don't get addressed in the segue that I don't like. We'll talk about those later, but for now, let's continue with what I said in the preamble. The story is all about Denia, following a last day on Earth type of story. Denia is at a crossroads. She's the source of the Thronodian frequencies still on Lahai Roi, and her own frequencies are deteriorating at such a rate that she's slowly dying. She doesn't have a choice, either wait for death or become a lab rat to either the Space Trek Collective or the New Federation. Denia's arc this chapter was about her growing up and choosing how she dies. At first, it seemed like she made peace with her death, wanting Sigrica to hate her to make things easier for her when her time's up. However, with Nastasia, we quickly realize that Denia's unraveling underneath the surface. We finally get to see what's under the mask she wears. Denia is afraid, desperate, and losing her mind, and most importantly, trapped. She has no agency, forced to die or give her body to scientific research. This feels powerful. It is such a bittersweet realization and fits perfectly of the idea that Denia's fate is sealed and she has no say in it. However, we all know that this isn't how it ends. Denia reveals to Rover that the Grand Architect placed something within her frequencies, and Rover removes it to reveal Leviathan's residual frequencies via a page from Cristoforo. This act stabilizes Denia's frequencies, but she's still up for being used for research by the Space Trek Collective or detained by the New Federation. It is here Denia makes the choice to end things on her own terms, a realization we learn from Hiyuki after collecting Denia's birthday cake. Up to this point, Rover has been spending time with Denia on the pretense that it's her birthday, and she was going to celebrate it with the cake. Denia uses the time apart from Rover to return to where she was being cultured by the Fraxidus. The tense atmosphere of the lab, coupled with the Navora puppets chasing Denia everywhere, is out of a horror game. I saw no shortage of content creators and Twitter users being rightfully freaked out by the whole sequence. But we finally make it to Denia's room where the situation goes from creepy to dark. This is such an interesting parallel between Imeth and Denia. Both girls had lost their parents and by chance ended up in the arms of two opposing strangers. The roles could have easily been switched. Denia could have been found by Rover and have been treated with the love and kindness they showed Imeth, and Imeth could have been found by the Grand Architect and be used as a lab rat for their void experiments. It's a chilling parallel, and we even see how terribly the Grand Architect abused Denia, from injecting her with saline instead of painkillers, to forbidding Denia to socialize with others without her supervision. The GA, underneath the smugness and scheming, is a control freak who needs to emotionally dominate another person in order to get what she wants. A total psychopath. But her choking the life out of that bird in the beginning of the segue was already proof of that. Denia destroys the Thronodian frequencies and expels them from the dimmer planes, forestalling Aleph 1 and preventing the Fraxidus from restarting their Lahai Roi experiments. But it came at a cost to herself. Denia is gone, seemingly in void space, and by the time Rover catches up, there's just one of her bubbles left. It's a bittersweet end to Denia, but it does leave a lingering hope that she could one day return. This story chapter is not without its issues. The first half of the Segue was honestly boring. When writing a Last Day on Earth type of story, where the character is going to die and knows that their death is coming, you'd expect more melancholy and foreboding right away, as they hide their emotions under a guise of joy. But when Denia was interacting with Segue in the first half, I didn't feel any of that. No tension, no heavy atmosphere, no melancholy at all. Maybe it was the voice acting or how the cutscenes were delivered, but it lacked something that truly built up the tension with Denia and Segue. There's also the section where we go to the arcade, but that's when the sense of foreboding starts to show itself. Denia is messing up in the video games, which, from her trailers, you know she's incredibly skilled at. If Segue was around for this moment, or if this moment happened earlier, I think the first half would be a lot better. It clearly shows that Denia is not herself, and that she has so much on her mind she can't focus on the games. There was also nothing concerning the cliffhanger at the end of 3.3. No more details on Ashinohara, Zashiki Watashi, or what really happened to the place. Cliffhangers like these are annoying to me, because they get no attention for months or even years before being relevant again, and by that point, why did you even set this up so early in the first place? Set it up beforehand. This isn't even a mystery like how Trails handles its plot threads by setting up a mystery not related to the main plot before calling back to it in a later game. This is clearly meant to shock the player and get them wondering on what will happen next for Hiyuki, but we don't get any payoffs here. What a terrible writing decision. Overall, this was a fine Segue. It does a lot for Denia and the Grand Architect, surprisingly, further cementing that they are a problem. Maybe one day, Denia will be able to celebrate her birthday surrounded by friends who care about her, and hopefully it's in a world without the Fraxidus breathing down her neck. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later.